Harry's Wife, part 85.7. Come on, Harry. Video analysis. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor, and you join me for some analysis of a video concerning Prince Harry and Harry's wife arriving at the Intrepid Museum's 2021 Salute to Freedom Gala, which took place last night. What is the Salute to Freedom Gala? Well, it is a gala which recognises extraordinary leadership and honours the brave men and women who served in defence of our nation, that being the United States. Support from the gala makes possible educational experiences for more than 30,000 students each year, dynamic STEM content, free programmes for veterans and military families, exhibitions that present stories of bravery and innovation, and the preservation of the historic artefacts and collections in the museum's care. The gala was taking aboard the historic aircraft carrier Intrepid, the Intrepid Sea, Air and Space Museum, West 46th Street and 12th Avenue at New York City. Dress, black tie or military evening dress. And in attendance were Bob Pittman, the chairman and CEO of iHeartMedia, who will receive the Intrepid Salute Award, John Bon Jovi, who will receive the Intrepid Lifetime Achievement Award, and Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, who will be giving a special presentation to service members and veterans living with the invisible wounds of war. So that's a little bit of information about the event and who was attending it, and of course it provides us with an opportunity to undertake a video analysis to see a little bit of what's actually going on. And I am going to provide you with the information by way of allowing the footage to roll and then halting it to explain what we can see and understand with regard to learning more about narcissism.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Here we go.
Sorry, Victor. I'm
Pausing at 24 seconds into the video, we've seen the group arrive and head upstairs and onto the red carpet, which appears to have been moving. No, wrong. It's actually Harry's wife, looking as if she's wearing the red carpet. And whilst you might think that's a little gratuitous slight at her, actually it's not, because it's pertinent to this point. If you'll observe the two ladies that were further on, you'll notice the first lady was wearing blue and the second lady white and black, fairly muted colours. You'll also see in the rest of the footage that other individuals are wearing suitably, if we could describe it as sober attire amongst the women, for what is of course a serious occasion, because it relates to veterans who have laid down their lives and limbs for the defence of a country. But of course, this isn't going to get in the way of Harry's wife making sure that all eyes are on her as she turns up wearing the red carpet. It's almost the same shade, so that all eyes are, of course, on her. And this brings to mind, of course, the occasion which I think was the last military engagement that Prince Harry had, where she similarly wore red. At that event, again, demonstrating a sense of entitlement, lack of boundary recognition, and the need to assert control, because red is actually an inappropriate colour to be wearing at such events for the women. Here, once again, having no regard for the sobriety of the occasion, the seriousness of the affair, is to turn up wearing this bright red outfit. And, as I've explained to you in parts passim, there have been repeated occasions where she has worn something which is incongruous with either the occasion or what has been asked of her. Think the christening picture where she wore turd brown, where everybody else was in ice blue and white, the Kermit the Frog outfit, the wearing of red as I've just mentioned, and she's at it again. Rampant self-entitlement, absence of emotional empathy, need to draw eyes onto her for the assertion of control. Remember, she does not think to herself, oh, I know, I'll wear red so I upstage everybody. Her narcissism just guides her to do it, so that she picks a red outfit, but it's being done as part of the unconscious need to achieve those prime aims. Furthermore, notice also the grip of doom. The first couple, the lady takes the arm of the man, walking along in an elegant fashion. But there is this repeated insistence, and we see it time and time and time again, of a 37-year-old man and a 40-year-old woman behaving like a pair of teenagers. Now, what's actually behind that? Two things. First of all, it's the grip of doom manifesting so that she can get hold of Harry and keep him under control by pulling him along by holding his hand. But it's also facade management, because what's occurring is it's demonstrating to the outside world, look at us, we're so in love that we hold hands still. But of course, this isn't befitting of two people of that age conducting themselves in that way. First of all, the world doesn't need to know about the status between the two of you. That's a private matter, but of course she won't see this as a consequence of the absence of boundary recognition and a lack of accountability. Furthermore, you can demonstrate your togetherness in a much more subtle and elegant fashion than this gripping one another's hands like a pair of teenagers. And of course what's happening here is that her narcissism misfires, because as it attempts to create this facade of look at us, we're in love, it does it in a way which stands out as being unrealistic and incongruous for the age of the two of them. So in effect, she draws attention to it, but not in the way that she'd actually like. Again, the collateral consequence of her mid-range narcissism rearing its head. Halting at 31 seconds, the lady in black and white is effecting the introductions, and Harry is being introduced to one of the veterans. Notice that he's trying to shake hands with this gentleman, and at the same time, as you can see from the freeze frame, who's gripping his left hand. Harry's wife continues to do so. The assertion of control through this physical action. Rather than letting go of him so that he can actually interact in a natural fashion with the veteran, she has to keep hold of his hand, making him stand there a little bit awkwardly, or looking like they're going to join in a game of Ringa Ringa Roses. But of course, this is evidence of poor boundary recognition. She's invading the space still. The need to assert control and an absence of emotional empathy for Harry by basically keeping him on this physical leash.
Northwestern, right? Oh, my God. About all of you guys. Oh, yes, of course. No, it's truly like incredible.
Pausing at 57, you have seen that Harry is engaging in some conversation with the veteran. Notice again the colour of the dresses of the two women that are waiting in the greeting party, green and blue. Nothing that is particularly striking to the eye, but everybody, of course, smartly dressed in their dresses and black tie outfits. And as Harry's talking away to the veteran and greeting the green lady, Harry's wife engages in conversation with the other two people in the guest line. And notice, of course, that you can just about hear what Harry's saying, but, of course, Harry's wife immediately raised voice. Now, of course, she is stood closer to the microphone, so it's more likely that she's going to be picked up than Harry, but nevertheless, there is that increased volume, which, rather than talking in a quiet and hushed manner to the people who stood in front, it's all about making a scene. Again, she doesn't think that's what she's doing. Her narcissism drives her to increase the volume, so it's bringing attention to her, assertion of control and drawing of fuel. And of course, the arms start waving around as well, something that she repeatedly does, which is a response to potential threats to control. Because she isn't as skilled and polished as, say, a Greater or an Ultra, that with her mid-range status, when she's being introduced to individuals, there is a moment almost of hesitation as her narcissism thinks, what's the best way of dealing with this situation? Because she hasn't got that slick, polished exterior compared to other narcissists. And therefore, a manifestation of the threat to control is almost a burst of anxiety, which results in a lot of the hair flicking, which she can't do here because her hair's tied up in a bun, but we've seen it in other videos, the rapid blinking, which I've done a video on separately, and of course, the karate chopping the air with her hands, which is demonstrative as a response to a perceived threat to control when she first engages with individuals. When she first interacts with somebody, she has no information, or rather her narcissism has no information as to whether this person is under control or not, and therefore the narcissism reacts by making her think and behave in a particular way to assert control over them. For instance, saying hello or smiling at them. Here, of course, because of her type of narcissism, before she can get to do that, we see the response where she's waving her arms around, which is a reaction to that perceived threat to control.
Megan, are you proud of your husband?
I'm always proud of him.
Halting at 1 minute and 11 seconds, we see several things that have just happened that are noteworthy. First of all, there's immediately the arm coming out to steer Harry. Now, understand that there may be those of you listening who are saying, oh, she's just guiding him. So what turns on that? What you have to remember is that when we are interacting with other people, everything that we do is geared to the pursuit of one or more of the prime aims. As I've explained elsewhere, we are not part-time narcissists. We don't suddenly stop being narcissists and become somebody else. We are what we are all of the time, whether we're acting in a benign or malign fashion. So that when the narcissist is doing something for you, even if it's, for instance, just pouring you a drink of water, that's a form of manipulation, because we have no emotional empathy and we're doing it to control you and draw fuel from you. So here, when her arm moves towards Harry to steer him, that is the assertion of control. We know that because, having established that she is a narcissist, it enables us to then look at all of her behaviours through that prism. And that's very important to keep in mind. So first of all, we see the instance of where her arm is steering Prince Harry, and she attempts to guide him along. And then in the next shot, which is a different camera angle, which is taken from the rear of them, her arm is dangling like something flapping in the wind. Almost looks like she's trying to grab him by the pecker to guide him along. But of course, we know that isn't actually happening. And either she has sort of got a grip of his jacket, or it's difficult to see in that particular shot, or her hand is just loosely hanging there as she continues to try and pull him along as if he's a dog on a leash. Come on, Harry, good boy, this way, that's it, come on there, good boy, yip, 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 come on, eat up, eat up. That must be what's going on, because she is trying to assert control, treating him like the object that she unconsciously sees him as. And as she continues to do so, she then reaches for the hand, and we're back to the hand grab. Yes, it's barely a few seconds since you let go of his hand, and now you have to assert control over him. This exhibits, of course, ownership. This demonstrates her unconscious ownership of Prince Harry by always placing her hand upon him. He's mine. He belongs to me. And then somebody calls out from the crowd, are you proud of him? And we then get the look over the shoulder from Harry's wife as she explains that she's always proud of him. And of course, as she does that, there is that usual smug look of hers, as if to say, don't ask me such a stupid question as that, you pleb. The expression on her face lacks warmth, hard-faced as usual. And it's, oh, I'll deign to give you an answer, little person over there. And of course, when she says, I'm always proud of him, that's flattery, which is an assertion of control. It's also over Harry and also over the recipient of the comment who asked the question of her. And again, having done that, she then returns with the hand grab to guide him through onto the next part. And if you join me in the next section of this, in the corresponding part, I'll continue the analysis and explain what's going on with the arrival at the Intrepid Museum's 2021 Salute to Freedom Gala, which will provide you with more instructive and insightful observations with regard to her narcissism in action.